Hello again, everyone. This is Jeff Reed, former writer for iFanboy. In 1994, DC Comics and Milestone Media had their very first crossover with their respective brands in the pages of the event called Worlds Collide. This series would actually become a precursor to the more famous DC versus Marvel and the Amalgam storylines that would come out in 1996, bound recently in these beautiful omnibus editions. But Worlds Collide came first, and it has some of the same story beats. For those not aware, Milestone Media was a creator-owned subset universe that DC Comics did distribute, but they didn't actually own any of the character rights thereof. Creators like Dwayne McDuffie, Ivan Velez, MD Bright, who I always loved, and Dennis Cohen's, among many others, were the people who brought these universes to light. And so in the pages of Worlds Collide, we finally had Superman, Steel, and Superboy meeting up with Icon and Rocket, the Blood Syndicate, Static, and even Hardware. And these characters all came together fighting against a guy called Rift, who was this big omniverse-sized character who seemed to think he created both the Milestone and DC universes and kept trying to kind of smush these two universes together because he thought that they were all fictional worlds he created. In the storyline here, he even picks up Icon at one point and makes an amalgamation of Icon's look with Superman's look in a way that is very reminiscent of what's happening over in the Amalgam storyline of DC and Marvel. Recently, this book got published in the Milestone Compendium Volume 2 with this beautiful Dennis Cohen's cover. The only odd thing is, though, that Dennis decided to draw Superman in the classic way, I will say, and not the mulleted way that he actually appeared in the storyline. It was 94, and Superman had his super mullet, which maybe I'll talk about sometime. But anyway, in this storyline, so not only do we have an amalgam that happens in the storyline, we also have a point where Rift literally picks up Icon and Superman and looks at their origins and decides what is it that makes these characters tick in a way that's interesting. Just like the red and blue, omniverse characters in DC versus Marvel do the same thing with Batman and Captain America. Again, this is 2 years before that series, and yet it's hitting the same kind of story beats there. Anyway, in 1994, I had never read a single Milestone comic, but I've read every Superman comic, so I devoured this event, and I absolutely loved it. And I actually would go on from this storyline to find out the storylines of, say, Icon and Blood Syndicate, who I loved in particular and read every issue of. I wish that these things were more found to mainstream people, but these Milestone compendiums have every single comic Milestone ever put out. And I say, check these things out. Hopefully a fifth one comes out that completes the set, but until then, I'll just have to read what I have. Have a good one.